Hello students, today we are going to talk about creative writing 2.3 and 2.4. So 2.3 is about creative non-fiction memory and 2.4 is about character sketch. So we'll quickly move to the next slide and we shall be discussing about it. So when you must have read one book on you must know rather that memory plays a very important role when it comes to creative writing, because everything that we write comes from our memories. Okay, so whatever we think, most of our experiences are based on our personal experiences, and what we write is a reflection of our personal experiences. So if I have to define memory, the Psychology Today website states that the following are the some of the definitions of memory that we're going to talk about. Memory is a crucial part of human identity, and maybe you think of it as just a record of things that has happened, but if you want to know where you have been, you cannot know who you are or where you are going. So there are several types of memories. Okay, memory for event, memory for facts, for how to do things, and working memory, which holds ideas in our head just long enough to turn them over. They are also malleable, and they're all mysterious, which do not really we understand or realize until we feel it. So for the purpose, let us just think memory as something or anything that we remember from the past. Okay, so in creative writing, especially in non-fiction, it is the task of the writer to rediscover important memories and make sense of them, and also write about them in a way that it is interesting to the reader. Okay, importance, if we have to talk about the importance of memory, in Tell It Slant by Brenda Miller writes about how we often seek meaning from our memories, which are often based on random, inexplicable events. And she also writes that memory itself can be called its own bit of creative non-fiction, and we continually, often unconsciously, renovate our memories, shaping them into stories that bring coherence to our chaos. Okay, memories also help define who we are as human beings and why we are the way we are. So it is our memories which define our sense of self. Without memories, we have no past experience. We are continually living in the moment without any sense of past experience. In writing creative non-fiction, especially memoir, the writer's task is to rediscover the important memories, and often when the writer rediscovers a memory, the writer remembers related memories, the writer's task is to understand why the memory is important and what is the significance. But memory can be faulty as well. Often the writer does not remember all the details, or where he gets wrong. In that case, the writer must rely on emotional truth and fact checking to write the facts as best as he can. So rediscovering, when it comes to rediscovering memories, we piece together our memories from the fragments of life's events that we have written in order to understand who we are. The difficulty for the creative writer is to recapture these memories and to make sense of them. So, on chapters on memories, Rootback includes 3 good exercises on how to unlock memories, and one of these exercises would involve map making. And to complete the exercise, the reader needs to create a map of the earliest neighborhood the writer can remember, and then add as a pleasurable and unpleasant details as possible, like who lived there, what are the secrets they were hiding, who were their friends. For instance, the writer can add the names of streets or people or places that they are appealing. In the second exercise, Rootback tells the writer to write a story about the neighborhood, something that happened to the writer. Another exercise involves a timeline in which the writer charts all that happened to him in a given year. So this is a big thing wherein a writer can talk about what all he or she has gone through. So obviously memory plays a very important role. Now, memory as fact or fiction, many personal essays and memoirs are based on writers as memories, but memory can be faulty. So Rootback makes this point explicitly. We don't remember over detail, and sometimes memories are just plain wrong. So the key points to remember are that the writer must try to get the facts right to the best of the writer's ability. Often this involves fact checking, and other times writing about memories involves writing about the emotional truth. This involves gather the facts as best as the writer can. but filling in the details using emotional truth, what seems right to you emotionally. In other words, if it was true to the writer on an emotional level, the writer can write about what it is if it is the truth. And when the writer does not know exactly what happened or cannot remember, the writer must tip off the reader by writing a disclaimer. For instance, the writer could write, to the best of my memory, I don't remember, perhaps this happened, or as I recalled. Often the writer will need to verify his or her memories by fact checking. Now, memories as metaphors and similes. To Terry Slant, Brenda Miller suggests that it is important to analyze why we remember a particular memory that we remember. She suggests that we can make sense of memory by describing it in relation to something else. We can write about memory as a simile. Some memories are vague, like dreams, others are vivid, like a photograph. Many memories are not understood, like an abstract painting. And we should write about memories as metaphors. A diary is like a memory, a photograph is a memory, a personal journal is a memory, and the task of the writer is to rediscover memories and make sense of them, and to write about them in a creative way. Now, the five senses of memory would be, Brenda Meller tells us that we can evoke different memories from our senses. First would be the sight. The sense of sight is the most obvious way to evoke memory. For instance, when the people see the casket at a funeral, it often evokes the memory of loved ones who have passed on. When we look at old photos, or memories are evoked. When we watch old shows, memories are stirred in our minds. When it comes to smell, the sense of smell can evoke memories. For instances, when we smell curry, we think of the time when we were sick about after eating the dish. Even when with smell of aroma of food, we even miss our homes, we miss our parents and families. So a sense of smell can also trigger an experience, like even the scent or the perfume of something can evoke a memory. Hearing, now the sense of hearing can trigger memories as well. The sound of music can trigger nostalgic memories. Whenever you hear certain music that you may have heard few years ago and is associated with a good memory or a bad memory, that can trigger from the music itself. Now, taste also, obviously taste can trigger memory. For instance, when you say you are tasting an ice cream that you had tasted when you were a child, and then many years later when you are tasting it, you often get those memories back. Okay, moving on, touch. So your sense of touch can also evoke memory. For instance, if you are touching an ice cube, you think of icicles or winter. So memories provide the detail, how what we add to our life story to make it believable and to recreate the experience in the mind of the reader. And by unlocking one memory, one can discover other memories and shift through them to find useful, interesting and surprising facts. So we can use memories to write personal essays, autobiography and memoirs and so on. Now, moving on, we will go to character sketch. It is very important to understand character sketch. We have discussed about character sketch, so now we need to know more about what is character sketch, what are the important aspects of character sketch. So what you can do is you can actually write an essay of 600 to 800 words. You can compose a profile, you can do a character sketch of an individual whom you may have known or have interviewed closely. So this person can be well known in the community or relatively anonymous. It may be a volunteer, or a person should be of someone of interest. So the purpose of that essay is to convey through close observation and factual investigation the distinct qualities of an individual. So now, by getting started, one has to prepare how you should be writing a character sketch by engaging some characters that you know in real life. So the first thing would be choosing a subject. Now, you need to give some serious thought to your choice of subject, and you should feel free to solicit advice from family, friends and co-workers. Remember that you are not at all obliged to choose a person who is socially prominent, or who has had an obviously exciting life. Your task is to bring out what's interesting about your subject, no matter how ordinary this individual may first appear. Now, students in the past have written excellent, profiles on array of subjects. You people have done the same, ranging from different characters that you may have seen. So whenever you're thinking of the present occupation of your subject, which may be it can be inconsistent as well. The focus of the profile may indeed be on your subject's involvement in some of the most notable experience of the past. Okay. And so you need to think of people and their different experiences that you may have come across. That is one very important way of understanding how the memory works, how the memory functions. Your second idea should be interviewing the subject. So you should be able to interview the subject, you should be able to choose your subject, as someone whose job is so important or so interesting or so unusual that the average reader would want to read about that person. In other words, choose someone who touches some corner of the reader's life. Now, before the interview, make a list of questions you want to ask. Get people talking, learn to ask questions that will elicit answers about what is most interesting or vivid in their lives. Also, you should take note during the interview. If you have trouble keeping up with the subject, you can always tell that, okay, let me write and let me take note on you. You can also use a combination of direct quotations and summaries. And if the reader is fabricating quotes or summarizing to get the facts right, remember that you can call the person or you interview. Now, drafting, this would be second step. You first draft, that is, you should be writing something in a very simple word process transcript of interview session. Your next step will be to supplement these remarks with descriptive and informative details based on your observation. Next would be revising, that is, moving from transcript to profile. You face the task of how to focus your approach to the subject. You should not try to provide a life story in 600 or in 800 words. Rather, you should attend to the key details, the incidents, the experiences. And also, you must be prepared on how an individual is thinking, what an individual is thinking. So that is again very important. That is the whatever you're writing, it should be based on, it should be built on direct quotation, it should be built on your subject. So it is important to keep your subject line very intact. It is important that you understand who your subject line is, what your subject is, in order to make sure that you're writing the best. Now, the essay, it should next move on to editing. That is, you should be using certain unusual strategies that you follow when you're editing, like examining direct quotations from a profile that can be shortened without sacrificing insignificant information. It can be eliminating one sentence from three quotations, for instance. And then self-evaluation, like providing a brief self-evaluation by responding to what part of writing your profile is, and most significant difference between your first draft and your final version, thinking the best part of your profile or which part of the essay can be improved. Now, how to your next step would be, how should you approach a character, what should you see in a character. Okay, so even though it's an informative type of maybe information that I'm giving out, but a character sketch does not have to be dry and only descriptive. It can also impress or entertain the reader or praise the subject. The facts, the traits, the idiosyncrasies, and accomplishments of the subject provide the fabric of the character sketch. Anecdotes and quotations also help in portraying the subject. You can stress the subject's personality, appearance, character, accomplishment. You can analyze a fictional character. You can also go into the person's conflict, how the person changes his or her attitude towards other, and the role in the story. You can list the person's likes and dislikes and how you feel about the character. If the character is the narrator, you can discuss whether the person is an unreliable narrator or not. Now, use of character sketch, besides being an essay type, student normally writes in cosmopolitan classes. So fiction authors can use character sketches in their pre-writing or drafting stage of short stories or novels as means of to develop the people who will inhabit the world they're creating. Writers can plan series, or even those who just end up writing a sequel can find character sketches useful as a reference for maintaining consistency of detail or voice. If the character ends up being a narrator in the subsequent work, or has a particular vocal tick, slang, vocabulary, jargon use, or accent, often the act of taking off on the character's voice in a sketch will assist the author in the discovering aspects of the character, fleshing him or her out of more realistic. Character sketches can also be a task to work on when stuck for a plot point. Characters' motivation to move the plot forward, or attitude or reaction to a conflict or event. In non-fiction writing, character sketches can be useful by biographers, for feature article writers, as a pre-writing tool, as a descriptive material to mine for the unfinished work. So your next thing when it comes to character sketches, you need to see, observe people in a altogether different way. You need to understand how things are written, how and how characters you can develop from a character that is always there. So these are some of the tips that I can tell you today with respect to character sketch, with respect to memory, because as you know, even your character sketching should happen from your memory. So it is very very important that you have an idea about character sketch, about memory. You should understand, you should realize the importance of memory in the first place. You should understand how memory plays such a big role when it comes to character sketching. So that would be all. I hope all of you are developing little by little when it comes to creative writing. You are practicing, you are understanding those nitty gritties, the skills that are needed with respect to creative writing. So that would be all from my side. Thank you all.